The Devourer King, the Black Winter, has arrived. Thor has gained untold power, the likes he has never seen. The Cosmic Storm, the Odin Force, and now, the Power Cosmic. Thor is the Herald of Galactus. Welcome back to Comic Island's epic narration series where we bring these stories to life. Now sit back, enjoy the show, and make sure you stick to the end where we go through this series' involvement with the Justice League and how an eventual clash between DC and Marvel will happen once again. In a universe far, far away, Earth, black ash begins to reign. What comes next is utter chaos. People whom touches the Black Plague disintegrates and turns to dust. But this world has its own set of gods, protectors of the realm, a sun god, a god of emerald light, a god of dark, of the ocean, of speed, and of strength. The League of Gods, united, hold power beyond imagination. They will defend their realm, but it will not be enough. For they too will look into the Black Winter, and they will see the stone-faced avatar of their true end. And, with all beings, when hope is lost, they too will pray for salvation. But the Black Winter, the Star Plague, the bringer of the endless void, will consume them all. Present day, in an unknown galaxy, Galactus and the Herald of Thunder arrives at the first planet, Eclipse. The God King Thor discovers that this planet is inhabited and demands that Galactus move on to the other 4 planets. No, states Galactus. He will need to consume all 5 planets in order to survive the oncoming onslaught of the Black Winter. Thor says, "Nay, you are weak, hungry. Would you like to see which one of us would fall first?" Galactus does not like being talked back to by his new herald and strikes the God King.
You exist solely by the grace I have given it.
Galactus echoes in a distance.
Or have you forgotten whom you serve, little god?
Thor crash lands on the planet's surface. It wasn't only Galactus' strike that caused that much force. Ever since Thor ascended to the throne of Asgard, the prince turned king has felt the weight of the mighty hammer, and even now, with the power cosmic coursing through his veins, Thor, the god of thunder, has struggled to hold the mighty hammer. Thor, as always, gets up. "You know nothing of the power I wield," he yells while throwing Mjolnir directly at the cosmic being. The hammer hits true and breaks off 3 of Galactus' fingers. Mjolnir obeys its master's command and turns 360, going straight through the cosmic being's left knee. The battle is interrupted by the primitives whom, equipped with rocks and stones, attacks the young God King. Thor speaks with the All-Tongue, allowing the inhabitants to hear his warnings of the World Eater, but the cold, hard sound of metal death signals the end of this planet. Galactus has begun the process, and this world will be consumed.
Galactus, no! Sif, a bridge!
Thor screams to the empty void of space. A galaxy away, the new guardian of the Bifrost hears her king. Lady Sif calls to the Bifrost, and so, the bridge races across the emptiness of space, landing directly onto Eclipse, the first world. Much to Galactus' surprise, the inhabitants begin to rise, and a second later, they find themselves on the home of the gods. Through his ravens, Thor sends a message to Volstagg the Valiant to make sure their new guests are welcomed. Volstagg warns Thor that Yggdrasil, the World Tree, is at near death, but his words fall upon deaf ears. Back on Eclipse, Thor threatens the World Eater once again. The inhabitants are now under King Thor's protection. Once every living soul is amongst the land of the gods, then, and only then, shall Galactus feed. The World Eater feels the anger and resentment building inside, but his hunger grows. Did Galactus heed the warnings of King Thor? Or did he begin consuming this world on his own terms? Thor stands witness to the eternal hunger of his new so-called master. He notices that the world begins to break apart.
Galactus, enough!
The god of lightning screams at the giant, but his words fall upon deaf ears. This world is no more.
More!
Galactus' words echoes throughout the dying world. His hunger left no scraps behind. The world has been completely consumed, and only rubble is left floating in the emptiness of space. The World Eater is shocked at this much power. He controls the power cosmic, but this is something else. Galactus' strength has been augmented. He is something else, something more. Suddenly, a barrage of missiles strike the World Eater. Thor got hit in the exchange. With all that power, Galactus can still feel the pain from a cowardly attack. He faces his attacker. A battle cruiser is warming up for another strike, and at its helm, wielding the mighty Stormbreaker, a warrior of ruin and vengeance, the last son of the Corbinites, the god of the faithless, Beta Ray Bill. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Comic Island, and this is part 2 to Donny Cates' epic Thor run, so make sure you check out part 1 before continuing. We have a lot to go through, especially the Justice League DC Comics cameo. But first, let's talk about the Black Winter reveal. Since this is the new never-before-seen threat in the MCU, hot theories have already been coming along as to what this ancient evil could be. What we do know is that this Black Winter, the Star Plague, is responsible for the destruction of the universe before the current one, and only one man managed to escape. Galen from the planet Ta, aka the entity we know as Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds. Galen stated that this is a universe collapsing threat unlike anything he has ever seen, and it takes a lot to make the Devourer of Worlds fear for his life. In Donny Cates' Thor issue 2, we can see how the Star Plague takes worlds. Black dust falls on worlds, and whatever organic tissue it touches, it eats away till there is nothing left. Somehow, this deadly force moved from the previous universe into the current one, and it is doing the same thing, and Galactus is the only one who has survived it, not once but twice. Is this Black Winter a man, a cosmic entity, or a sinister force of nature? We still don't know much about it yet, but it has another ability. Whomever looks upon it sees their death in the form of whatever that will end him. The first time, Galen saw the empty void, but the second time, Galactus saw Thor. This is the whole premise of Galactus choosing Thor as his herald, which puts a new meaning behind keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Donny Cates has been weaving this threat throughout the Marvel Universe. We see its mentioned in Silver Surfer Black issue 4, where a time-traveling Norn Red went into the mind of Galactus in incubation form and seized the last hours of Galen in the universe before this one. The Black Winter killed trillions of lives in mere seconds. Then there's its effect on cosmic forces. It is causing Yggdrasil, the World Tree, to die a slow death. Now, for those who don't know, Yggdrasil is the Norse mythology for the World Tree, an entity force that supports the 9 realms, much like a tree supporting its branches, and the leaves of the branch could be translated to as galaxies or worlds, depending on how far down this rabbit hole we want to go. A 10th realm, Heaven, has been revealed a few years ago, taken back from the universe of Spawn. This is where Angela comes from, a character we barely talk about here on Comic Island. Anyway, let's get out of the rabbit hole and back on track. This Star Plague, the Rot Blizzard, has the kind of power that causes Yggdrasil's power to weaken its hold on the 10 realms. The magnitude of its powers is getting frightening where it has this much influence and power. Galactus is on a mission to consume 5 worlds. If Galactus gets this much power, he could very well take the Black Winter's place as the next biggest threat to the MCU. But my early predictions as to how this all turns out is that Thor will somehow get hold of this power that Galactus is seeking. Thor will do the right thing, sacrifice himself much like he did to fight Malekith during the War of the Realms, and defeat the Star Plague, which will bring him to near death and returns him to Thor, Prince of Asgard, that we all know. Maybe he will be too weak to rule Asgard, allowing a new Asgardian to take the throne, leading us to a new epic story. Okay, a few things I want to discuss before the Justice League cameo. Love the bickering between Galactus and Thor. It's a testosterone-filled game that these two are playing, and we even see Thor deal devastating blows to Galactus with his hammer Mjolnir. Their fight isn't over, and I love the dialogue a lot more than the actual fighting. Speaking about Mjolnir, it seems the Cosmic Storm Hammer is starting to reject Thor once again. It flat out rejected Thor when the Odinson stopped believing in himself at the end of Original Sin, which paved the way for Jane Foster Thor to become the mighty Thor. But now that Thor Odinson is king of Asgard, I believe that he has stopped believing in himself once again. He is most proud to be a god when he was the Prince of Asgard battling alongside the Avengers, and we see his confliction at the beginning of issue 1 where he wanted to battle so much that he threw Mjolnir from Asgard to defeat an Earth threat during a battle against the Avengers. We also know that Mjolnir is a sentient entity that can transform itself to anything it wants. I believe that after the Cosmic Storm lost to Odin and was imprisoned inside the Uru, a powerful ingot, and after Odin's enchantment, whosoever be worthy shall possess the power of Thor. Eons later, the cosmic storm started changing and began to enjoy its new role as Thor's mighty weapon, dishing out justice with its noble master. Then it chose Jane Foster as its new master, going so far as to help her when she needed it most after being shot by the Midas bullet. There's also a symbiotic component to the relationship, but man, I am going far off the rails. Sorry, back on track. Beta Ray Bill is revealed at the end. The fan favorite Corbinite, who has yet to have a better spotlight in the MCEU than an oversized head on the side of a building, is getting the VIP treatment in the comic books. He isn't sporting the usual Asgardian armor. Has he relinquished his title as a member of the Pantheon of Gods? It seems so. He has a tank with him using missile projectiles not of Asgardian nature. This is not the first time Beta Ray goes toe-to-toe with the God of Thunder. During the unworthy Thor, the Berserker Rage took hold of the Odinson, causing him to attack anyone. Beta Ray was in the way and the two went at it, but a new threat came, so there was no clear winner. The first time they ever battled, Beta Ray didn't have Asgardian powers, but he grabbed Mjolnir, which transformed him into an Asgardian warrior. According to Thor, they are equally matched, but I can't help but cheer for the underdog. Okay, now let's talk about the epic Justice League cameo. Straight up, Donny Cates is saying that the universe that died before the Marvel Universe is the DC universe. There's a lot of info on how the many universes connect, but my interpretation of its workings are as follows. Long story short, the multiverse holds the many DC universes. Beside that multiverse is a collection of Marvel universe. And then there's the Spawn universe, where Angela's heaven was taken from and placed in the MCU. Then there's the many more universes and the powerful cosmic entities that govern or rule over it all. We know that there are brothers whom our mortal mind could not comprehend, so we see them as two celestial males we call the brothers. They encompass the whole of everything but not each other. One red, one blue, and they were not aware of each other's existence until when they did, they battled each other, so only one multiverse can exist. This began the whole 90s DC versus Marvel event, where we have Axel, a normal human being who is the living gateway between worlds. When shit hits the fan, we got an amalgamated world, but not before a lot of fan service was done by pitting similar characters against each other. Flash versus Quicksilver, the androids fought, the lightning gods fought, even the fish heroes beat each other with their flippers. But the tacticians, Batman and Captain America, found similar grounds and helped find another way to save both planets. They convinced the Guardians of their universe, the Living Tribunal for Marvel, and the Spectre for DC to save both multiverses by combining them into the Amalgam universe. Eventually, the worlds went their separate ways, but recently, we got hints to an eventual clash between Marvel and DC. In Thor the Worthy, Jane Foster Thor came upon a mirror that offered glimpses into other worlds. We see Beta Ray, Odinson, Frog Thor, Captain America, and then two shadowy figures that any DC fan knows to be Superman with his chiseled jawline and short hair, and Wonder Woman's Amazon skirt and the Lasso of Truth. This is a direct nod to the crossovers when Superman and Wonder Woman were proven worthy to hold Mjolnir, and rightfully so. There are small hints that Marvel is a comic book in the world of DC, depicted in Harley Quinn's issue 66. We know Harley is a comic book nerd, and she sports a Batman pin alongside a Hawkeye pin. This can be taken as fan service and nothing more. Then the mic drops in the final pages of Doomsday Clock. Dr. Manhattan sees 2030 during an event called Secret Crisis, where Superman fights Thor across the universe, and a green behemoth stronger than Doomsday who dies protecting Superman from invaders. This is a direct nod to the Incredible Hulk in the pages of a mega event from DC Comics. This is huge, but what do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments below. We are not done yet. The next issue will show Thor versus Beta Ray. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and you can watch more right now.